The UK has voted to leave the European Union. Welcome back to Talking Today, where I talk about the most current events and topics going on today. Very, very recently, within the past about 90 minutes, the voting results of the UK referendum on its membership in the EU have been announced. The British people have voted to leave the European Union. Now, let me first tell you, this is coming completely from an American perspective. I've never even visited the UK. I'm not as well versed in the UK politics or way of life as I am in America, but I've been keeping up with it over the past few months. And for those of you who don't know, the last few months there has been a very brutal campaign between those who want to remain in the EU and those who don't. And it's culminated in this vote. It really was too close to call going in. Everything that I read was that it was so evenly divided and split that there could be no prediction until the actual votes came in. The British people have a lot of grievances about their membership in the EU. And that's not what this video is about. If you want to know why the vote has happened or why there was ever a question of staying in or out, then you can do a little Google searching and figure that out for yourself. But I want to talk about what I think will happen now that the UK is out of the EU. First off, before the voting was announced, before the results were announced, I have a friend of mine who's British. I was asking him why he thought the way he did and why he hoped that the people had voted to remain. And we were going back and forth talking about a lot of different things, and me and him both are just baffled by the result. I think we both agree, and I'm not going to say I'm speaking for him, but I think based on the discussions that I've had today, right now, the UK is weaker than it was yesterday. I think Europe as a whole is weaker. I think the European Union is weaker. And I think the UK economy is going to definitely suffer. Now, I'm not an economist. I don't have any financial education. My degree is in criminal justice. But based on what I've seen and what I've read, in 2015, while the European continent has been battling severely economic crisis after crisis, the UK had the strongest economy of all members, of the three largest economies in the EU. I didn't look at the smaller economies because they have a little bit less relevance on the global scale. But what I saw and what I read, that the UK had stronger growth than Germany and France, although it is the third largest economy of the three. And I just don't see how that'll continue now that they're out of the EU. See, the thing is, the EU, in my opinion, helped magnify the UK's power and global influence because they were part of this strong organization. Even when they've been strained in recent years, the EU is still viewed upon, much like the United States is, globally, as this group of countries, this group of states who are cohesive. They have a goal in mind, and they have a certain level of influence around the world. And I just don't see how that can remain. I don't see how that can remain for the EU, and I don't see how that can remain for the UK. Because, in my opinion, and I'm sure that I'm not the only person who thinks this or believes this, the UK was easily the most influential country of the EU. And now they're gone. I don't really see how the EU can survive now. And sure, maybe no matter if the UK would have voted to remain, maybe the EU is on its way down. I'm not sure. But I think now at this point, the EU will cease to exist at some point in the future. Probably in the near future, more likely than the distant future. I'm not saying that the British people, for voting to leave, it's their fault, because it isn't. But there are so many things to consider when looking at this vote, besides just at the UK perspective. Because if we do that, we forget that the world is global. The economies and the people of every edge of the world are connected in some way. Those who are looking purely from a UK perspective, I think, are looking at this the wrong way. My final thought is that this is a bad day for Europe. This is a bad day for the UK. And you know what? From an American perspective, this is a bad day for the US. Because as an American, I want the UK, who is probably our strongest ally, I want a strong UK. I want a strong British economy. I want a strong British pound. Today, the UK is just a little bit less strong. The pound is just a little bit less strong. Europe is a little bit less strong. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Maybe I'll be completely wrong and the UK will start thriving and the EU will start thriving even more so. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. So what do you think, if you have any opinion at all, on the UK leaving the EU? I've told you what I think. From me, Mr. LBJ, Mr. Vaughn, till next time.